I tell you to sit y'all's asses down on the couch?
Yeah, if we was in a war, they'd be like, go, O'Neal. I'd be like, I'll leave the bodies behind, roll the gun. I'll be back for you, but I ain't really coming back.
You know you're gonna be the medic.
You crazy,
You're the medic.
If this was like, think of it.
In a war.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. If this was like. Exactly. Appreciate you.
An independent contractor just came out.
No, you're
backing him up.
He didn't understand. He didn't understand, dog. He lost.
He didn't get it.
Yeah, he's trying to call me a coward.
And he backed that up?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, not a real fighter.
Yeah. That's
You're delivering the guns.
Exactly.
Stop. If this was like an action movie, I'm just gonna be real. Are we rolling right now? Yeah. Listen. I'm just gonna be real with you. I hope this goes up too. I hope Jason edited put the shit. I want the fucking world to know how I feel about y'all. When I'm around y'all, I honestly feel sometimes like if this was an action movie, I'd definitely be the action hero. Let me finish. I'll be the action hero. All right. Gary, you'd be that reluctant guy that's like, oh man, we gotta go. I don't want to go, man. And then I drag you out. And Renee would be the guy we meet somewhere in France that would get killed like, 20 minutes later by a sniper. You know what I'm saying? That's how it will go. Because y'all not fit to lead. I'm built to lead. Think about that. I'm built to be an action hero. That's you know what I'm saying? Anyway, talk, Renee. Just say something.
I have nothing to say to you.
See, they ain't got no action hero voice.
I ain't got nothing to say to you right now.
Gary, say something.
What's the action hero voice?
This is action hero voice. Something needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? That's an action hero voice.
That is the ghettoest action hero.
Nah, you just hating on me.
Something need to be done.
I didn't say something. I said, hold up. I said, something needs to be done.
Okay.
It's an action hero.
He raised his eyebrow and he changed it.
Yeah. Oh, you say something, Gary. Say something needs to be done, Gary.
I just do it.
Notice
That's
how
what
he
action heroes do. They just do it.
You got a Kermit voice.
He pronounced it all
dog.
like, it wasn't no
Gary sound like Kermit the Frog.
Right?
I just do it. I just do it. I just do it, man.
I'm like, what?
Nah. See, that's not a real action hero though. That's more of like, that's a hood action hero.
He's an actor.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I said.
Something needs to be done.
That's
right?
That's not what I
He'll
said.
be the action hero like somewhere in Leimert Park.
You ain't
Like,
Leimert Park.
Say something. Say something.
So Leimert Park can't have action heroes?
I'm not saying that.
Leimert Park.
There's a
Y'all
lot
heard
of action heroes
He's
in Leimert
saying
Park.
Leimert Park can't have action heroes.
There's a lot of action heroes.
Why?
in
Because
Leimert
it's a
Park.
black neighborhood?
It's not you. Where are you staying at?
What you mean?
You're not in Leimert Park,
I grew up in Detroit.
Okay, here we go.
I grew up in Detroit, the D.
Here we go.
The D. Something need to be done.
Ain't been back. Ain't been back once. Ain't been back yet.
He holds on to that. He holds on to that.
He's going to. He's going
right?
to.
Welcome to the intro, man. Welcome to Three Black Guys on the Couch, where three black guys give you their perspective on pretty much everything on the earth. I'm O'Neal.
I'm Renee.
I'm Gary.
Three black guys on the couch. Listen, if you want to hear more of Gary's Kermit voice, like and subscribe. How y'all fellas doing today?
I'm feeling good.
All right.
Feeling real good.
Gary, how you feeling?
Lovely, man.
All right, I'm gonna come at you real quick. Don't feel like I'm attacking you. I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you, but I just gotta ask.
Yeah.
What'd you do this morning, Gary? What did you do? What did you do physically this morning?
Play some golf.
You golfed this morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, play some golf. Then back my car up into a curb and pop the tire.
Oh, okay. That's not
Still took a lift to get here. You know what I'm saying? Make it on time.
Because you're dedicated.
just
You're
I
dedicated to the work.
appreciate you. Solutions.
Solutions. What'd you do this
What's
morning,
up?
Renee?
I said, how much they pay you for that?
Oh, she said he was only paying me in water.
I'm only paying him in water, bro.
Yeah.
What'd you do this morning?
What'd I do this morning?
Yeah.
I woke up, worked out with you. You already know what I did. Come on now.
You already know. What we do, Renee? What we do?
UCLA Drake Stadium.
You already know how that
Yep.
go. Ha ha.
2 miles to the stadiums.
You already know what I'm saying, my man.
Exactly.
Yo, is he strong?
Is he strong?
Yeah.
He's all right.
Like, seriously.
He's strong for him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's strong. He's strong
You're a
for
hater,
him.
bro. You a hater, bro. What does strength have to do with anything?
I was just curious because you said,
Why didn't you ask him if I'm flexible, if I'm mobile?
we're talking about action heroes in movies with that kind of voice you just put on. You got to be strong.
I doubt that. I doubt that. That's your problem, Gary. You focus on like aggressive strength and might over right. I'm not like that, bro.
So you got a weak action hero.
That's okay, but I'm an action hero that will talk you down. I'm not fighting you. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk you down. I'll smother you with lovely things and lovely words.
He's an intellectual action
I'm an intellectual action hero.
Nah,
you
he's
feel
the
me?
action hero that shows up, flies in. He's like, hey, let's just talk this out real quick. We just talked this out.
Here we go. Some
Yeah,
action heroes right here.
Yeah. I'm more like, who can you relate to? I
Like
can
none
relate-
of those guys.
No. Well, actually, I relate more to Indiana Jones because he was afraid of snakes. He was a vulnerable action hero. I don't like heroes that seem...
He had a lot of courage though, bro.
Huh?
He had a lot of courage.
He had an insane amount of courage.
Yeah.
I mean, he would go into caves where, traps and snakes and flying arrows would be and whatnot. But he admitted that he didn't, he didn't like snakes. I love that. I love vulnerable heroes. Like the rest of these, John McClane, Sly Stallone is Rambo. They weren't very vulnerable action heroes. They seemed impossible. Like,
Is that Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson is a Lethal Weapon, yeah.
That's it.
You never saw Lethal Weapon?
I did. With Danny Glover, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like Batman. Batman is, a sociopath. He has mental issues.
Is he considered a superhero or just an action hero?
Superhero. He's considered a superhero? Yeah.
So you don't have to have superpowers to be a superhero?
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay.
It's really interesting. I was watching, for a long time, the Justice League that was on Cartoon Network and on different networks. It was a long-running cartoon. A lot of people, I'm sure, have seen it before. It won Emmys, right? It was a popular cartoon. And the very last episode of the Justice League, they had an episode that didn't have anything to do with the Justice League. It dealt with Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, the guy who was the future Batman, right? And he was a grown man, and he broke into Amanda Waller's home. You know who Amanda Waller is? Mm-mm. That's the character Viola Davis plays in Suicide Squad, the black woman who puts bombs in their heads and works for the government. So he breaks into Amanda Waller. That's Batman Beyond, and that's Amanda Waller right there. So Terry McGinnis, full grown, breaks into Amanda Waller's home because he's about to kill her. She's an old woman and she's crusty. And he has a leather jacket on. He doesn't have the whole Batman Beyond outfit on. He's just regular himself. And he's about to kill her because he finds out that Bruce Wayne was his father. Bruce Wayne killed his original father. Bruce Wayne was getting older, so Bruce Wayne wanted to make a duplicate copy of him. So this is fucked up. So Bruce Wayne in some way injected his pregnant mother with his DNA, and his DNA overwrought the dad's DNA. So he could have all the Bruce Wayne DNA and probably come out like him. But Terry never knew this. So when Terry was a teenager, this is a long-winded explanation. But when Terry was a teenager, Bruce Wayne, the crusty old Bruce Wayne just, was his mentor as Batman Beyond. But then he finds out, he killed his dad, so he wanted to kill her. Before he could kill her, she started explaining to him what made Batman the best hero out of all the Justice League characters. And she talked about what made him better than everybody, than Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, was that he had no abilities, no power. But he had contingency plans. He was smarter than everybody. It was it was a dope episode. It was really dope. And it made you look at Batman in a whole different light. Like, yo, he's the dopest one. He ain't got no powers.
Yeah. I just didn't know that you could be called a superhero if you didn't have superpowers.
Yeah. You ain't need that.
I enjoy the story. I enjoy the story.
I mean, I got one question though. What do you mean by crusty?
What you mean?
You use that a lot. Crusty.
She was old. Crusty means she was old. She was wrinkled. Her hair was gray. Her toenails probably were yellow. Eyes probably were jaundiced. Crusty.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Crusty.
Heard it?
Yeah, that's crusty. That's crusty.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Crusty comes in various forms. Like when you come into the gym in the morning when you don't wash your face, when you got crust in your eyes.
Yeah.
Crusty.
Okay.
Gary's toes and feet aren't moisturized, so the back of his heels, crusty.
You don't moisturize?
Nah, man, bro,
Don't
listen.
listen to him.
Listen. Last week I went to go eat with him, and he wore some sandals without socks.
Oh no!
I would never do that.
Oh,
bro,
I would never do that.
Bro, the back of his heels look like a map. Like a fucking map.
Yo.
Bro, I wear socks to the beach. Don't play with me.
Bro, I couldn't even eat my food. I was like,
Yo.
I couldn't even eat my food. I was like, what the fuck?
That's terrible.
I was like, my man ain't even throw no water, no nothing.
Nothing?
I almost took my coffee and just nigga,
You a fool, man. You lied on the pod, bro.
Hey, listen, I forgot to tell y'all. So you two have been to therapy before, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so listen, I've never had therapy in my life. I think I went to therapy once with my family because my brother was, he was wilding out, going in and out of juvie, whatnot. So they wanted us to go just to talk about the whole family.
Younger or older, brother?
Younger. But I've never been to therapy. So I went to therapy for the first time last week. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, you've told me therapy helps. You've told me therapy helps. A lot of people have told me therapy helps. And let's be real, man. You know, if you're black, you're dealing with a lot of trauma. You know, there's a lot of things going on, PTSD, a lot of stuff. So it would behoove us, you know, as black men and black people to go to therapy. But still, I have my doubts because in my mind, I'm like, how is someone that's flawed and has just as much issues, or if not more than me, gonna tell me how I'm gonna live my life? So I went to this therapy session, and there's a white woman. And obviously I wanted a black therapist because I'm like, you can't relate to me. So we're talking and she was like, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, well, do you have any black clients? And she was like, yeah, I have a few. I was like, but, you know, do you feel like you can relate to them, you know, on a level? Because I feel like you need to be able to relate to me from what I might say to my jargon, to my jokes, to my mannerisms. If you don't really get it, how can you help me to understand some issues or things that you know, I might have? And she said something that made a lot of sense. She was like, can you see the back of your head? And I was like, nah. She's like, well, I think of therapy like that. I'm just helping you see the back of your head with a mirror. I'm the mirror. And I was like, wow, that's a great analogy. And I thought about you guys specifically because I talked to you guys in depth about therapy. And I want to know, first and foremost, you know, and you can answer one at a time, were your therapists black, right? And number two, if they weren't, did you feel like your white therapist help you, you know, see things that, see the back of your head, so to speak? I don't care who answers.
So I've had two therapists, but one main one, shout out Aaron. No, neither of my therapists were black. But I do feel like they were able to relate, but more importantly, help me see things in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And find solutions. Because usually, I mean, for me, I try to stay consistent with therapy, but I usually am hell bent on going to therapy when I have a problem, when I'm going through some shit. You know what I'm saying? When I need answers, when I'm like trying to figure out, you know, what decision to make. And that's usually when I go then in search of answers, you know, and most likely answers that I probably already know.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do need someone to, you know, bounce ideas or questions or just things that I'm going through in general. Yeah, I mean, would I like to have a black therapist? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
You know, just in terms of relatability sometimes, because, you know, it's a little harder, I feel, for people to understand you if they haven't experienced the same things that you've experienced. You know, whether it's like racial profiling or something of the sort, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Like even when, you know, I would date girls from a different race and things would happen and I would view it in one way and they'd view it in a different way.
Yeah.
As to like if I got pulled over and they're like, oh, he's just looking for someone. And I'm like, okay, sure. You know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know what you, I don't know what you're saying that far.
Nah, you probably wouldn't.
As far as dating girls from different races,
All right.
love my black sister.
There it is. We'll get to that. But that's where I'm at. I personally had the therapist that I did. I chose the therapist that I did because honestly, they were affordable. I knew them and they were able to work with me on a sliding scale because therapy is very expensive, you know, and I needed it. So I made a decision to, you know, work with those therapists because it was ones that I could afford and really benefit from. So
Awesome. Gary?
Yeah, so I've had several therapists over the years. And my favorite of the bunch, and they were all different races, not all of them, but you know, several races. My favorite amongst the bunch happened to be a white guy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where they didn't have BetterHelp at the time when I started or Talkspace or whatever.
BetterHelp the app, right?
Yeah, right. They didn't have any of those, or at least I didn't know about them. And so I'd just go around doing a few sessions with a couple and figure out who fits me. Yeah. And in that case, it was just this guy. And I thought, I mean, I had the same questions like you guys did. Number one, do I want to talk about any of this as a black man? I feel like my superpower is holding on to all of this and overcoming it, right? Yeah. So that makes me strong, which in fact, it was making me much, much weaker, right? You know, one of the things I talked to him about is, hey, have you ever had black clients before? And he said, yes, but I'll cut you off right there. One of the things I want to let you know is humans are humans, right? And I've seen issues, and not only have I seen them, I'm well read and all these different things. So you tell me how I can help you, and I'll do my best to do that. And even if you don't think you need help, I'll bring it to you, right?
Yeah.
And so I stuck with that, and I had 2 different therapists at the same time, just to kind of see where I'm going to land. And you know, for me, it became colorless.
Yeah.
Right. It was just about, you know, how well I was evolving or how fast I was evolving, talking about certain things and who I felt comfortable with. And so, yeah, my therapist today is a white guy from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You know, I feel this may be a charged thing for me to say, but I feel at its core, everything is colorless. We make it colorful. Sure. We make it about color. You know, I always say to people, I was at breakfast today with a buddy of mine, Chinese guy, and I joke with him all the time. And we were talking about something. He was like, why do you gotta make it about race? And I was like, bro, everything in this world is about race. Everything. But it's only that way because we make it that way, right? Us as people of color for how we were treated and marginalized, you know, racist people for how they marginalize and treat people. You know what I'm saying? So either way, it's the opposite sides of the same coin. You know, the ones being affected and the ones doing the affecting. But it's us making it about color. And him telling you that, I think that's really profound. Him saying people are people. Because we all dream, we all piss, we all shit, we all love, we all hate. We all experience the same emotions and feelings. You know?
I agree.
We just make it about color when it comes down to, can you get a bank loan?
You know what? I'll say this. And I love my therapist and respect them. The only reason I would say that I wish I had a black therapist was so I can spend money in my own community the way I spend money outside of it, right? And that's just the truth. That's how I feel. But with that said, it's not worth me, you know, dropping the guy that's been so supportive and so helpful to me just to do that, right? So, but yeah, there's some of that.
It's funny. A friend of mine referred me to a therapist, a black one, and I had a session with him. And, you know, what was really interesting to me was I felt like he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. You know, he was making assumptions and saying things, and I was like, what? And he was like, you know, he was like, I can tell right now you're about to cry. And I'm like, nigga, what you talking about?
He was though.
You know?
He was though.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He was just saying some shit that wasn't going down. I wasn't, man. Because I'm a thug. I don't be crying.
There it is.
But he was just making assumption. He was like, yeah, and he would say ridiculous things like, yeah, and from what you're telling me, you know, you probably stumped your big toe and you never want to walk by a bed again, huh? I'm like, what, man? What are you talking about? And so after it put a nasty taste in my mouth. And I was like, man, bro, I can't talk to you. You know, all therapists are idiots. Did
you look for another black therapist?
I didn't. I just figured that, you know,
You gave up on it.
Let me ask you a question. Why were you so, or I'll use the word were. Why were you so reluctant on getting therapy?
Because my girlfriend was like, you need therapy. Motherfucker, since you want to know, nigga. She would say, you need therapy because she takes therapy. And she's like, you need therapy. And I was like, therapy for what, man? I'm straight. And she was like, you know, she would say to me, you're protecting the inner O'Neal, the little O'Neal. Huh?
You're right.
Straight isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Straight isn't good. Oh yeah, straight isn't good. Yeah, I'm straight, I'm good.
Yes.
My bad for all you out there who don't understand. Straight mean I'm good. But I was like, yeah, I'm straight. She was like, you have this thing in you that you pull out this monster because you're trying to protect your inner child. And she's like, it's a deep-seated thing that, you know, that you must have suffered from childhood, and you need to go. And I'm like, what? And I was like, no, I just don't, you know, I just like to defend myself. And she's like, no, O'Neal, and I was like, okay, let me check it out. She's like, and she said the same thing pretty much that the therapist said. She's like, it just helps, you know, you see things that you probably wouldn't see because you're in yourself. You're within yourself. So there's a lot of things you're just overlooking. She's like, I'm telling you, it's gonna make you a better person. I'm
talking about even before your relationship.
Okay.
Like, has therapy ever crossed your mind before?
Never. I figured, I'm going to be real with you, I figured I'll just pray and talk to God.
Okay. Isn't that funny?
That's a black thing, right?
It is. Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll pray and talk to God, and That'll be it. Why am I talk to another person that's just flawed like me? And you know, and then I don't even want to say this. I've met people that work in that field that are really damaged, that talk to people and that are really damaged. And I'm like, man, you what? But then again, it was explained to me that just because they're damaged doesn't mean they can't help you. If nothing else, they're probably more qualified because they're living in it. So
see a boxing trainer, these old ass boxing trainers.
What?
These old ass boxing trainers that teach these dudes how to fight. You're like, man, he couldn't beat nobody up.
Yeah.
You know?
But that doesn't mean, that's very true. The trainers, I know trainers that are chunky and out of shape, but their knowledge is vast. So I'm trying not to judge a book by its cover and be like, okay, because at the end of the day, you should want to just evolve and be better. At the end of the day, like, and if you can help me be better, yeah, I'm all for it. But let's just be real. In the black community, man, we ain't talking about no damn therapy, man. Come on.
That's the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah. We ain't
like, do you
talking
feel
about
like it's more of a community thing?
100%. 100%.
I agree.
100%. And who got more PTSD than us? I heard some woman talk about that. She was like, in the slave days, when the children were stripped away from the women and sold into slavery in other states and whatnot, did they get therapy for that? When the men were being beat in front of the women, did they get therapy for that? When the women were being raped by the slave masters, did they get therapy for that? When Jim Crow came along, they get therapy for that. When they were incarcerated, they get therapy for that. And she basically was like, there were no therapy programs for them whole 400 years. So imagine we have 400 years of trauma passed down from generation to generation to generation. And here we are now in 2022 with all that trauma linked on top of our heads. And then here we are. It's no wonder some of us are the way we are. So, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, right? And then you grew up I don't know about you guys, but I'm from Jamaica, but my parents moved to the projects. They just decided they were going to find the absolute worst ghetto rap video interpretation project they could find in Detroit, and that's where we landed. And I mean, it was normal for people to get shot on my doorstep. It was normal for me to play, like I said before in the last episode, it was normal for me to go to my friend's house and be playing video games while their uncle was next to me freebasing. It was normal to be at barbecues. I mean, I remember being at a barbecue, no bullshit, being at a barbecue, this dope dealer, his name was Skull. I'll never forget him. His name was Skull. He used to drive an ice cream truck, but sell dope out of the ice cream truck. He was in the middle of the alley and some dudes pulled up during a barbecue, shot him up in the chest. We ducked while the chicken and the ribs was cooking on the grill. After they pulled off, we got up, went, looked at Skull's body. He was convulsing and foam was coming out of his mouth, and we just watched him die. And we just like,
how old were you?
I had to be 8 or 9. And we're looking at him, we're like, and after he died, ambulance came, got him. What do you think we did? Went back to the barbecue and ate barbecue.
Yeah.
It's normalized, right? I remember there's a dude that lived in my neighborhood named maybe I shouldn't be saying names.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, bro.
Jason, you're getting rid of this. There was a dude in my neighborhood. There was a well-known dope drug dealer.
That dude's going to jail tomorrow.
This was a long time ago. He probably
to jail.
He probably dead
tomorrow.
now. So he probably dead now. Dope dealer. You know they die fast.
Can you imagine that? Hey man, how'd you get caught up?
This nigga said something on his fucking podcast. Snitching on podcast.
Yo, man.
One day he used to bully me all the time. I used to go out to the park and play. He used to bully me all the time. One day, man, I don't know what I got in my head. He was like 5 years older than me. But I woke up and I was like, man, I ain't taking this shit today.
Not today, huh?
I ain't taking this shit today. So I come outside my door. I go to the park and he's like, Little O'Neal. I don't know why why y'all say that? Why all dope dealers got a little something? Little O'Neal, Little Renee, Little Gary. So I turn around. I'm like, man, what? He's like, man, come here, little nigga. I was like, man, I walk over to him and he's like, man, don't talk to me like that. And he picked me up, he slammed me on the ground, punched me in the chest. Then he got up and started walking away. I should have left it alone, but my pride wouldn't let me, man. So I got up and dusted myself off. And as his back was turning, he was walking away. I was like, fuck you. And he turned around and he came back and beat the shit out of me. So I go and I tell my mom. My mom and dad are divorced at the time. So my mom was like, tell your dad when he comes to pick you up. So my dad comes and pick me up and I tell him, my father Jamaican, man, all right, man, I go fix him, man, I go fix him. Don't worry, man, I go fix him. So maybe 3-4 days go by, weekend, and we're driving down the street. And he's walking down the street. And I'm like, Daddy, that's him, that's her, that's him, that's her. And he's like, that's him? I'm like, yeah. Hit Lincoln Continental. Stops in Lincoln Continental and gets out of the car. So I'm like, oh, he about to bust his ass. So she's about to get it. Ain't no need for me to be getting out the car. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to know. He looks at me and like, O'Neal, come. And I'm like, come where? Come off the car. Come now. Come off the car. Come. And I'm like, what? This don't make no sense, nigga. Why I gotta go with you? He made me get out of the car, ran up on him, and was like, this my son. And him say, do something to him, touch him again. Touch him again. My man was like, put his finger on my chest. My father started slapping him, right? Slapping him up. I'm talking about manhandling him.
As he should have.
As he should have. Threw him to the ground, put his arm around me. I'm like, let's go. So I'm like, So we're walking back. All I hear is people yelling his name like, no. We turn around and he has a long shotgun. So he went in the house, got a shotgun, and was gonna put 2 in us.
How old was in
Don't say his name.
That dude.
I was 12, he had to be like 17. I'm 17. Right. And he came out with
damn near grown.
Yeah, damn near grown. Mm-hmm. Came out with a legit long shotgun. And by the grace of God, people that I knew held him off, other older dudes, and stopped him from shooting us. And my father jumped in the car with me, pulled off, dropped me off down the street, not too many project doors down from him, and then left. Went right back to Southfield, Michigan. So I'm like, what the fuck? I gotta go to school tomorrow. For a whole week, I would duck through corners because I was trying to avoid him. And his cousin was in the same class as me. And one day, she sat in front of me. And one day, she just turned around, like quiet and silently. And she was like, such and such gonna kill you. Ooh, I feel sorry for you. This is our normal living. I'm petrified. So for a good month, I'm ducking through corners, going to school. This is my normal everyday thing. And then one day I ran into him and he called me. He's like, Lil O'Neal, come here. He's like, man, I ain't gonna fuck with you, man. I ain't gonna fuck with you no more. I don't know if God just touched his heart and he was like, I'm not gonna do nothing to you, but this is like the normal existence growing up in the ghetto. It's normal to you because you don't know anything else. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff became very unfamiliar to me when I went to college. When I went to college and I was up there for a full year and I came back to visit, all my friends that I had grown up with, all these people, they seemed like foreigners to me. I came in the car and they ran up to my car. My buddy who was buddies with me for years that I used to walk to school with and all that stuff, he had like yellow jaundice eyes. His teeth were missing, hair nappy to the left, to the right, braided halfway. And he's like, O'Neal, what's up? And I was just like, it was so weird because now I had been exposed to other things, new things, right? And I was like, yo, I don't want this. I don't want to be around you. They were unfamiliar to me. And that's when I started realizing like, yo, this existence that I'm growing up in, this shit ain't normal. It ain't normal to get shot at. It ain't normal to get robbed like this. It ain't normal to worry about getting killed at 12 years old. It's not a normal thing.
Is it not normal or is it normal there?
It's normal there.
See what I'm talking about?
It's normal there, yeah.
Which I have a question now, like with all of this. So given therapy, right? And most people in the community that you grew up in don't get therapy. Yeah. And in probably higher socioeconomical, communities, they do. And it's like a standard or it's like a thing. Now, with everything that you go through in inner city communities, does that make you stronger because you've been through it, or does that just make you more callous? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because when you learn how to deal with shit, you know what I'm saying, at a certain level of capacity, right? And you learn how to deal with it, or like, do you just block it out? Like, or is that just something that just makes you stronger as to where you go out into a real world, or like you go to college and it's like, oh, dorm life, like this ain't shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is where I come from. So, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm at now.
It might be different for people.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's what I said is like, hey, I thought it was my superpower being able to get over all this, hold on to this. Mm-hmm. And really for me, it was more detrimental to the people around me, right? Mm-hmm. And it needed correction, right? And so it took me just a personal story. It took me a long time to start therapy. You know, it actually took, after my father died is when I started, right? And he was a big believer in therapy.
Yeah.
Like his whole life, he would push and push. And I was like, O'Neal, like, man, I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm good. And eventually I got to the point where like, all right, something's got to be done, right?
Yeah,
and that's where I took the leap. And I'll tell you what, like, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's a game changer, man. It is.
I mean, I look forward to it. To see, you know, what it unlocks and unravels for me and heals. To answer that question, you know, I think it depends on the way you channel that energy, right? Because energy can do a lot of different things. It can destroy. It can, you know, build and I think some people use it and it calluses them. So, you know, they're just, nothing is getting through. Nothing is getting through. This is the way it should be. Don't be no bitch. Some people use it as, okay, midterms don't seem that difficult. Running 3 miles in under 20 minutes doesn't seem that difficult. Physical activities or, you know, I've been through worse. So, you know, I think it all depends on the way you channel it. Interestingly enough, I think therapy helps you find how to funnel it through the proper channels, right? Because what's the first channel we funnel it through? Don't be no bitch.
Right.
I mean, when I was trying to learn how to swim, they would just throw me in 10 feet. And do you know I could have drowned? Like I've seen it. It's
traumatizing, man.
It's traumatizing, but I've seen it. It's a normal thing.
That's how I learned how to swim.
Yeah, throw him in the water.
That's legit how I learned how to swim.
Yeah, or your parents pull out a belt and beat the shit out of you, and you're like, okay, this is normal for me to go to school with a welt on me because it's a toughen up thing. I was looking at this guy's Instagram post that I follow, and he's a boxer, and he posted a picture of him and another guy that they had just got through sparring, and he was like, man, you know, normally, you know, he was saying something to the effect of he doesn't big up a lot of other men and how, you know, men who choose to be weak, he doesn't respect and bitch assness and whatnot. And this is a guy I like following him. I think he's a talented boxer. But I was thinking to myself like, man, that's gotta be draining. It's gotta be really draining to be like, man, you know, what's wrong? I mean, to view life through that lens. Like, man, any nigga that choose to be weak, I can't fuck with him. Or no bitch assness. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to every tough guy that I know, every super aggressive tough guy that I know that, you know, built like steel, hard as steel, don't cry, don't laugh, they die early deaths. They tend to die early deaths. They live miserable lives. You know, that whole, what is that proverb about the student that was with the master in the garden, but the master was a martial arts expert, and he was like, you know, how do you reconcile the two? How do you reconcile being a gardener and a fighter at the same time? And the master was like, you know, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I think that's a better view. Like, you learn all these things. Okay, if you want to, you know, feel like you want to gain some sort of confidence, right? Learn to fight, shoot your guns, whatever you need to do to feel, lift your weights, whatever you feel you need to feel manly. But those things are just supposed to supplement. They're just small fractions of who you are. They supplement things for you. Read some poetry, nigga. Like,
but people don't have so I think today is a little different than back in the day, right? You have so much more access to experiences and things like that. Even if you can't go, right? You have all this ability to you know, receive all this content and download all this content, right? Yeah. So it helps. But back in the day, if you didn't get that exposure, right, and that's all you were around, like that's a mask that didn't come off. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's different as well too. Like, okay, so look at athletics, look at pro athletics, right? Where a big thing is mental illness, where you have players that decide to call off of games because their head isn't in the right space. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Where I feel as before or back in the day, that would be considered like, hey, wait, what? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if Jordan's like, hey guys, I'm not really feeling up to it today. Like Pippen, you got me? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
No
like
flu game.
Yeah. That's my point. You know what I'm saying? I can really see Kobe as well being like, you know what, fam?
Soft.
I'm just not, you know? And I think that has a lot to do with, you know, a specific mentality of how they were brought up, how they're, you know, were raised, what they've been through, and what their objective is and how sold out they were to it. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a certain resilience that you build from going through some shit.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with all that, you know. But I also think that, and this is from a guy who, you know, didn't believe in therapy. But I do believe that it's okay to be like, hey, I'm not in the right headspace, or I'm not feeling. You know, as little boys, we're taught to play with toy soldiers with guns and play with race cars. We're just trained to do all this stuff, which is all fine and dandy. But defining what masculinity is a very interesting thing now. Sure. It's a very interesting thing, because now we're in a world where people are like, well, I'm not a man, or I'm not a woman, or I'm this, or I'm that. So now that you have all these. I don't even know how to explain it. You have people that don't identify with being a human being. A small group. It's ridiculous, but there's people that are like, you know, I identify with being some glue or a pen, or, you know, it's getting ridiculous. So
I feel that, but I feel also to whether they identify as whatever they identify as, there's a specific mental resilience. There's a specific mental toughness that I feel comes from a specific background, as to where, I don't know, maybe part of me thinks that if you didn't have that necessarily, and yes, you go to therapy all the time, and it's like, you know, oh, I'm going through this, so I'm going to go to therapy now. And I'm not dogging therapy because I'm in it, you know? But I feel like ways to learn mental resilience and mental toughness, you know what I'm saying? I feel could be stressed upon more.
I agree.
I agree with that too. I think what I used to be told growing up and even through college was like, look, you have to learn how to compartmentalize. Like, you're already mentally tough, right? You have to keep stressing that in order for it to get better and maintain it. But compartmentalize. When you're over here, you're doing this is what you're doing. You're not thinking about these other things, right? And I think, to your point, like, you need that, because if you don't have that, right, there are opportunities where you'll just fold because, you know, the pressure gets to be too much or whatever. And not to judge, like I said, everybody is different, right? So when I feel the bridge is going to break, and what's pressure to me may not be what's pressure for you, right? And so everybody's a little different. So I think you have to understand yourself. But a lot of people's default, to your point, is like, no, I'm out. Tap, I'm out, right? And so I think that we've got to deal with that individually, but I do agree with you that, you know, you need to fortify that.
Question: lifetime. What is this? Lifetime what?
This is the lifetime prevalence of PTSD in various racial communities, and it's a university study.
Yeah,
and it looks like Black people and Latino people get the short end of the stick, surprisingly.
Surprisingly. Interesting. Wow, that's a.
And the most prevalent form of PTSD for white people is accidents and injuries. So I think that says a lot.
Wow, that speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. And obviously, you know, Black people and Latinos are the least amount of people are in therapy. And we clearly needed the most, you know. We clearly needed the most.
Physical violence.
Wow.
Organized violence. I wonder what other is.
Yeah, what's other supposed to represent? I mean, we lead the charge in other.
Yeah, it looks like Black people lead the charge in other category, and we don't know what that is. We just go through it. Any guesses? I mean,
we just go through it.
That's what it tells me.
We'll put that under other.
Yeah. That's so interesting, man. That's so interesting. You know, it's funny because and then if we talk about relationships, I mean, let's just be real here. You know, if you have some mental trauma, and then you're trying to get into a relationship, you know, that's just dead in the waters. That's dead in the water. And it's unusual. Let's just say you meet a girl and you start dating her, and you're like, hey man, I gotta go to therapy because you want to go to therapy with me because I want to make sure things are, you know what I'm saying? That's just 9 times out of 10, she's probably gonna look at you like you're crazy. Like, well, I don't know. You're like, you know, but I'm Black, so I've gone through PTSD. Let me give you the whole rundown. You know what I'm saying? You know, because this is
that how you start your relationship?
Let me give you the whole rundown. I'm Black.
Action hero voice.
PTSD.
That's first date right there.
You know,
first date energy. Let me give you the whole rundown.
Because you're. Let's be real. This is still new territory for us as people of color. So are you going to be the one to step your foot out there on that ledge and be like, hey, I dig you, I like you, I'm going to therapy. You want to go to therapy with me because I'm black, and black people, we deal with a lot of trauma, PTSD type shit. Where you want to go eat tonight? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you feel me? We go into the situation all fucked up. We take our baggage into it.
But I think
that's everyone, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just saying black people in general.
Yeah.
If you're black woman, black man, or black man, white woman, black man, Latino, whatever, white woman, black woman, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We take people of color, we take our trauma with us where we go. It just
white
is.
people as well.
Yeah. White people as well. But when he was saying when he was with a woman of another race, and shout out to my sisters. He was in the car and he said she was like, well, maybe they were looking for someone else. Let's just be real. He said it wasn't relatable. Like he's looking at it like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know how many niggas get pulled over on a daily? They get shot? What do you mean maybe they're looking for some? I remember.
I don't know one, maybe it's who I choose to hang around, but I don't know one person that would say that to, and I understand it's possible when people say it. Yeah. But I don't know one person I roll around with and said, "Hey man, where they were looking for something else, we're good."
I know who the fuck was you with, Renee? Who was you with?
I'll tell you the whole story.
Oh, it actually happened. To
This
you.
happened. Yeah.
Don't say the name. Don't say the
Of
name.
course I'm not. No. I was with an ex-girlfriend of mine. She was white.
How long ago was this?
This was 2010, 2011.
Yeah, I was with a black girl 2010.
This guy's holding on to that card.
I don't know what this motherfucker talking about.
And we were driving, I forgot where we were driving, but I had my gym bag. I was driving her car. She drove a newer white Mercedes. And
way to fit the stereotype. What black dude driving a white girl car. God damn. God damn, bro. Okay. You couldn't be driving your car?
No. Okay. Anyway.
You had the whole drop the white girl off at work outfit on, huh?
I'm gonna get roasted for this one. But you know what? Transparency here.
I'm gonna be transparent too, bro.
No judgment. No judgment on the couch.
Exactly. No judgment on the couch.
That's why I love you. Yeah.
I would have said something about his holy shirt, but we're fine.
This is 1950. This is from the 1950s. It's vintage, bro.
Why is he doing that?
I don't know.
What you mean? Well, I'm just being real.
1950s?
Yeah, no lie.
So is that a flex or what is that?
It's a flex, nigga.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna continue.
It's a flex.
So we're driving. I had happened to put my cell phone in my gym bag, which was in the trunk.
Yeah.
And so we're driving. Cop on a bike pulls us over. Asks to see my driver's license, registration, blah, blah, blah. Show it to him. And he was like, hey, I saw you on your phone driving the car. Yeah, I was like, no, you did not. My phone isn't anywhere near here. He's like, nope, pretty sure I saw you on your phone. And we literally went back and forth on this.
Shit, lucky you're alive.
No, after about 10 minutes of this, and she's there watching the whole thing. The whole thing. After about 10 minutes of this, she's like, oh, okay, we're just looking for someone that fits the description, is driving a Mercedes, blah, 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 and I'm like, sure you are. Thank you for your time. Drove away and I was heated.
Of course.
I was pissed. Yeah. She wasn't. She saw it as a very routine, they're just looking for
keeping
someone.
the streets safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because it wasn't until recently when everything was going down 2020, I got a message from her being like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
Well,
at least she came around.
Which was,
she got educated.
I mean, that's you know what I'm saying? Where at that time, it was very much like she thought I was being a bit irrational with how heated, because it's happened to me many a times.
Yeah.
My first car was a Jaguar and I got pulled over in that thing so many times because it was a Jag. And for the audience, it was not a new Jaguar. This was a 1992 XJ6 that I got a really good deal on.
Sure, nigga.
And I highly suggest for all the youngins out there, do not get a used Jaguar that old.
What was your first car, Gary?
A Buick Skylark, 1982.
I had a Ford Tempo, a 1984 Ford Tempo.
That's fitting.
What does that mean?
You know what it means.
I don't know what it means.
And again, never mind. It goes with your vintage shirt.
You're a hater, bro. How you come up on a Jaguar? Anyway, whatever. That's
that's
besides the point.
That's a whole.
No, man. I think there's a certain level of relatability. Like, for instance, a friend of mine, a white person who. Social justice warrior, Black Lives Matter in his lawn, black people, everything. I said to him recently, I was like, man, you champion our cause from a distance, right? You champion our cause from a distance. And I'm not saying that you need to go give up half your paycheck or the benefits and the all the wonderful things that redlining and racism and all these things have afforded you, right? You may feel like putting Black Lives Matter in your grass and saying is good enough, right? But I would challenge you to probably do a little more research. Like really, if you really want to understand us, right? Go eat on Crenshaw. Go and hang out. Take your kids and your wife and go and hang out in our neighborhood. Go to Lamont Park. Like immerse yourself in the experience for a little bit, as opposed to being on the outside of it and saying, hey, we're rooting for you. Because I think a lot of them feel like when the whole thing happened in 2020 and the marches and during the pandemic and all that, I can't tell you how many people hit me up. It's like, oh man, I mean, this was like ridiculous. I put it on my Instagram because I was tired of people hitting me up. I was like, look, listen, white friends, stop texting me and asking me, am I all right? This shit is weird. And then, listen, this was almost like a comedy sketch. Every white person I know hit me up with Ta-Nehisi, what is his name? Ta-Nehisi Coates? Wasn't it Ta-Nehisi Coates? Ta-Nehisi, I'm fucking up the brother's name. I'm sorry. But they hit me up with his book because all white people seem to just gravitate towards that book. I'm talking about, it almost was comical. Ta-Nehisi Coates? Hopefully I'm not fucking your name, my brother. I'm sorry if I am. But every fucking white person I know was like, this is the book I got. This is the book though. And I was like, this is a joke. I was like, stop hitting me up. Stop asking me, am I all right? Stop doing this. I've been the same O'Neal that you've known for all these years, dealing with the same things and all that stuff. It's incumbent upon you to go do the research. Don't fucking ask me about this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I just think a lot of people, white people, they look at it like, listen, I'm gonna put a Black Lives Matter thing in my grass, put a sticker, whatever. Like I went to Portland. I never been to Portland before. I went to Portland. I never saw so many Black Lives Matter posters, murals, and shit like that, but I ain't see no black people. I even drove by some gigantic warehouse with Malcolm X's picture, Martin Luther King, Nipsey Hussle, whoever black you can think of, big gigantic murals of them face by face next to each other. And then as I was driving, there was a gigantic garage door open and something was going on. And I was like, oh man, there's probably a ton of niggas in there. What the fuck? And as I was driving, it was nothing but old white men. And I was like, man, what the fuck is this? I've never been to a place riddled and covered with so much.
They're listening to Nipsey Hussle too.
Yeah, black shit, but I don't see no black people. Last time in that shit. Yeah, it was wild to me. And then my boy who lived in Portland was like, yeah, man, a lot of black people move out of Portland. They're being pushed away. I was like, but how, nigga? It ain't never black shit up here. And he's like, yeah, that's just what they do. They put this stuff up. So I think that's they feel like that may be enough. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a lot that even was in that time, like in all throughout 2020. I feel there's a lot of the trendy stuff happening when it came to that, and even like in the fitness industry, like all you saw was, hi, today's class, 20% of the proceeds is going to, a black cause or Black Lives Matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, to help further our education in terms of, the struggles and that went on for about a cool 3 months, I feel, tops. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And we're in 2022 and part of me wants to be like, what have you learned? Or do you know what I'm saying? Like it's one of these things where it's, like it was very popular in corporations with, individuals and you know what I'm saying? And then I felt like things started to dwindle,
Or I mean, that's how I feel. Yes, exactly. I feel like it's an experimental thing or just a trendy thing. Much like, and listen, there are interracial couples that are in love. Listen, I have a biracial daughter, you know what I'm saying? But I'm with a sister now. I've learned the error of my ways. I'm with a sister.
The error of my ways.
Wow. Jason, delete that. Get that out of there.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Please keep that in.
Keep that in. I don't care, man. I'm riding for mine. Put that in there.
Yeah, you better.
If you got a problem with me, run up on me. See me on the street.
If things don't work out, you just chopped all your options in half.
I just chopped up all the white girls. They're like, I'm not dating him.
Yep.
Run up on me in the street if you got a problem with me. See me. Hey, here's the thing. I feel like, and I've personally experienced, and I know, and I want you guys to jump in and correct me if I'm going too far here, but I'm just telling you from my experience and from what I've seen, There are interracial couples that are in love. And I don't believe the creator was like, oh, you guys stay on your side, you guys stay on your side, and you never join. I don't believe that at all. Love should be blind. I firmly believe that. But there are white women that I've dated that are now married to, the white women that I've dated that only dated black guys, and now they're married to white guys. I have other friends and people that I know that white women they dated that are, that dated only black dudes, and now they're married to white guys. And it almost makes you feel as though like, man, what black women would say to us. Like, they're just curious about you. They're just very curious. They believe in the whole big dick thing or the black buck thing or black men exude sexuality, all these things. And they're just like caught up in the whole curiosity or the danger and the excitement of, oh, I get to date Gary in his tight shorts and, and golf hat. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna let him do you like that?
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't worried about that.
They might look at you and be like, man, he corny to the motherfucker. Is this the nigga I was promised?
or they might be like, well, he plays golf, so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
He's as close to white. It could be that. But I'm sometimes I'm like, oh man, this was an experiment for them. This was a trial run, a college type thing. Or yeah, when I was younger, I was dating these black guys, but I'm marrying a white dude. Maybe, you know what I'm saying?
A lot of sisters will say that to you. I agree, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I do agree.
Yeah.
And I remember, so this is a few years back, where I work for a certain gym.
Yeah.
And at one of the locations, I'll just say it's predominantly Persian. Yeah. Right? Jewish Persian. And I remember a girl specifically telling me, like, oh yeah, we would eat you up all day. Like you're like our type per se, but we could never bring you home.
Nigga, why you gotta say eat you up? Can you just that's weird and shit.
Because I'm a snack. Because I'm a snack, O'Neal. Because I'm a snack.
God.
That's why.
Keep telling the story.
I'm a snack. But that's basically what it is, where they're just like, there's no way we're bringing you home.
Yeah.
But we could, kick it, or they're curious or whatever it may be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I obviously I feel like that, runs into, all other aspects. Like even like one of my first girlfriends was Asian, and I remember meeting her parents, and her parents didn't like me because they thought I was a thug.
Yeah.
I worked at Abercrombie at the time.
Yeah, that's as corny as it get.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're a corny motherfucker just in general. So.
Well, I appreciate you. Thanks.
That's confusing to me.
I think, look, so I'm gonna go back to what you guys were saying about like Black Lives Matter, things on the line. And
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we talked about this, I think off cameras, average attention spans are 8.2 seconds. Is that right, Jason? Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys expect? What do you really expect? If a white guy, like he watches George Floyd get murdered on TV.
Yeah.
He's got to do something, right? He wants to support in some way. He wants to donate. He wants to try and push this movement further. He wants to do all this, right?
Yeah.
But yesterday, he didn't know a thing about it, right? And so while I think like that's a reaction to what's happening, and you want people to see clearly what side of the line you're on at that time.
Yeah.
We all got our own shit to deal with, right? Yeah. So 3 months later, 6 months later, we got a family to feed. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Not saying that he absolutely shouldn't do more research and shouldn't dig deeper, but we out here living real life.
Yeah.
Like it's a tough ask for us to put that on somebody else. And so for me, like if white people ask me, and I have a ton of white friends just like anybody else, and not only white friends, but other races hit me up during, all of that civil unrest.
Yeah.
And they would ask me questions, and to the opposite, and I'm not saying what you did was wrong, but to the opposite, for me, it was like, I walked them through all of this stuff for as much of it as I felt comfortable that I could, right?
Yeah.
Because I think and look, I don't know where they're at now. They might have just done it to make themselves feel good and gone about their way. I don't know, right? But I did it because I felt like that was my responsibility not my responsibility. It was a desire that I had to actually inform them so they can make the decision for themselves and do what they want to do. But I do agree with you that most of that shit is probably long forgotten.
Okay, so so you're right. People out here living real life, and there's a lot of people that are ignorant to it, either willfully or.
I'm not saying it's right though. I just want to make that.
You're not
clear
saying
here.
it's right, This is why I did the polar opposite, and I was like, stop bothering me, stop asking me shit. I feel like the white existence, any form of white existence, any form, has been crammed down our throats. How? This whole construct that we live in was constructed by white people, right? So 99.99999% of the media that I consume is white media. Every television show I watch, all white people. Cartoons, all white characters. Anything news, white people. Everything is white, white, white. I understood certain colloquial terms from the Jewish community, oy vey and all this shit before I even knew the fuck what, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Woody Allen movies, anything. I just consumed a lot of white stuff. So, you know, I said this to some of my friends that are writers. I'm like, you know, white writers, because some of them will tell me like, we don't know how to write dialogue for black people. So if I'm going on an audition and I'm reading dialogue from a show that's supposed to be black, I can tell immediately if it's a white writer, immediately, because they will put some corny shit in there like, you jive turkey sucker. I'm tired of looking at you like that. And I'm like, what niggas talk like this still? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, a white guy wrote this shit. So they don't really understand a write for white people, for black people. And they would tell me this, my friends that are writers, successful writers. And I would tell them, well, that's interesting because I can write for a white person. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, your existence has been crammed down my throat since I was a baby. I know your colloquialisms. I know how you talk. I can write for you. And I can write for black people because I'm living the black experience and I'm being force-fed the white experience every fucking time I turn on the television. And we all know that media is the most powerful form of propaganda and influence there ever was and ever will be. If you show me some shit on the screen, I'm gonna believe it. That's just how it is. That's how they control people, right? So the reason why I took offense to it and I told them, listen, stop bothering me, because I'm like, man, I get force-fed information about you motherfuckers every day. You know what I'm saying? But would it really break your back to pick up a book and read something on us? Considering, you know what I'm saying? Or educate yourself somewhat on us. Did it take George Floyd having a knee on his neck for you to go do some research? So it didn't take apartheid or redlining or the Civil Rights March or slavery or niggas getting shot in the street or us getting locked up a whole bunch. None of those things that preceded him having a knee on his neck, that didn't tell you anything?
It's frustrating.
Exactly.
It's frustrating, and we react a certain way. And I've had those moments too where I'm like, you know, but for me, it's not like they live on a separate planet. They may be different from us, right? Yeah. But the same media that's being shoved down your throat, right? Which is, you know, the white experience.
Yeah.
That's all they know as well, right? I don't have friends that I talk to that were born in 1938 and hang on to saying, hey, the coloreds live over there. I don't have any of that, right?
Yeah.
So the people that come to me, I mean, they've experienced the same type of propaganda, if you will, as I have, right? And so asking me a question, some of them actually don't know and they're curious, right?
I totally agree.
So I think like some of us react this way out of frustration. It's like, man, I throw my hands up at this, I'm done, right? Which is fine. That's everybody's choice. And I've done that too. But in most cases with friends that I actually care about and that are close to me and they want to understand, I'll do my best to try and explain, right?
100%, bro. You're right.
But I remember that Instagram post.
You remember?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I had to go in. I was like, this is crazy. And just think about it this way: if the shoe were on the other foot, and they lived in a world where everything was black, it does breed laziness because if everything favored us, from bank loans to television shows to commercials to ads, we wouldn't do no reason. We wouldn't be like, let's find out what the whites are going through. Right. We wouldn't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? If you had some sort of, and listen, I'm not saying that some people don't, but if you had some sort of sympathizing, empathetic bone in your body, you probably would, because you'd be like, man, things are really great for us. Let me see, and it seems like things aren't really great for them. Let me. I would agree. I'd agree. Let me try to poke my nose through that window and see what the experience is, and
that's a good point,
and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if we are partaking in their culture.
That's a good
point. And that's where it gets very sensitive. 100%. Right? When I see a white dude or a white girl act black or act like they like, or when I hear white girls say, "Oh, he's a fuck boy," or white dudes be like, "Yeah, motherfucker," you know, then I'm like, "Are you dressing like me? Are you acting like me? You talking like me? But you acting like you was born like this. You acting like this came from you." I feel a certain type of way. And I'm not some super militant dude, but how can you not feel some type of way? I was in Blue Bottle. I tell the story all the time because it just stuck out in my mind. I was in Blue Bottle one day and I had some Birkenstocks on, right? And I guess I wasn't dressed like what this white dude thought, you know, niggas supposed to dress like. You feel me? He was like, niggas don't wear Birkenstocks. Malfunction. He'd start bumping to the wall and shit. Where's his Jordans? Where's his Jordans? Where's his Jordans? What the fuck?
Malfunction.
You know what I'm saying? I had some Birkenstocks on and shit, and he was like, and he looked at me like I was a cornball, him and his girl. And he had the whole, you know, Kanye Yeezy starter kit, you name it. You know what I'm saying? The jacket, the Yeezys. He just, it's like he just opened a book and was like, what are the niggers wearing? Okay, this is what I'm wearing. Just like, you know, I'm cool. So he had the whole hookup on. And my man looked at me like I was corny. Bruh, it took everything in me not to like grab him by the elbow. And the reason why I say grab by the elbow is because it's the most disrespectful.
It is, for sure.
Grabbing a man, black or white, whatever, by the elbow, as another man, most disrespectful thing you can do. You grab my elbow, we fighting. I wanted to grab him by the elbow and be like, hey man, motherfucker, all this here, you get from us. And look at this girl like, hey, the way this motherfucker dressed, get it from us. Toss the elbow and get my coffee. But I called my boy, I was like, yo, this white boy looking at me like I'm a cornball. It's as though and listen, culture is meant to be shared. Okay, culture is, if we can't share our food, the way we talk, the way we move and dance, it's a waste of time. Everybody should participate in culture, right? Because we're all one people, supposedly. But when you take my culture and you act like you made my culture, and you know what I'm saying, and you swing it in front of me like, you know, I think
that's why I need therapy.
I think the biggest question though, biggest question though, even with that is that true culture?
What you mean?
Like wearing the Yeezys and then wearing do you know what I'm talking about? Like
it's a small part of it.
You know?
It's a small part of it, right? It's a small part of it.
I think that's the because I mean, I'll be real. I feel like I see more white people wearing Yeezys than black people.
I do. You're right.
Like
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that are overly dressed out and all the stuff.
You see more white people at concerts than you see black people. Part of it is they can afford to.
Well, that's a whole other thing. But honestly, part of it is that they can afford every Yeezy as well too. The 350s, the 700s, or the whatever it is. You know,
like when I'm in.
Is it possible in that story that
it was in my head?
That was ego driven or was in your head? Is it possible that he wasn't looking at you saying?
Nah, man, he was looking at me corny, Gary. The motherfucker was looking at me corny, Gary.
That's his Detroit coming out.
I'm just saying.
That's what that was.
I mean,
that's why I need therapy probably.
That was, what's his name? That was the whole whatever his name was.
Don't say his name, dog.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. It could have been.
It's happening all over again.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but it could have been. I mean, again, you know, I go back and forth with it because I'm like, yeah, man, I want to share my culture. I just don't want you to act like you made my culture. And that's why.
Would you have found that offensive in that case?
But
like I wouldn't even know that.
I would have laughed at it because it's one of those things where the way that I look at it is I look at someone like that trying really hard to be a part of a culture that they may not necessarily be a part of. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, for instance, let's talk music, right? Okay. A lot of hip hop rap, you know what I'm saying, talks about what? Talks about the struggle sometimes. I made it from here. I came from this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But then you've got some trust fund babies that, I made it out the gutter, reporting live from the gutter, and now I'm on top. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it isn't as, you know?
Yeah, it's
like how you know every word, but it's like you don't feel every word. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
For me, music is a big part of culture when it comes to that. For sure. You know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, even when the things that you say, even saying the N-word, like all, you know what I'm saying? All that shit. Yeah. Like it's all of those things all compiled into one as to where it's like, like you may know every word, but like, you know, there's a big part of you that has to go into Urban Dictionary to find out what that means.
Yeah.
And then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they don't get it live from, for instance, like, do you remember that whole, the crate box challenge?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Of course.
Do you know where that started?
In the hood.
In the hood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? After the hood did it, everybody else was doing it. They was doing it in the suburbs. They were doing it in gyms. Or do you know what I'm saying?
In jail.
Yeah.
In jail. Like all. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. What you're saying essentially is this, and some white people might take offense to it, but listen, man, I don't know. Again, I don't know any other way around it. black people, and maybe I'm saying this because I'm black. Black people to me are the soil of the motherfucking earth, the lifeblood of the planet. The world has its ear to the door of black culture, listening on what we're going to do next. That's just a fucking fact. And anybody that would disagree, you're out of your fucking mind. Your kids want to talk like us. They want to dress like us. Well, the soccer moms are now driving around in SUVs with 20-inch rims that are standard manufacturer with tinted windows. That shit never used to be. I'm from the generation where niggas and Latinos was going to the fucking shops to get them specially done. Now it's standard. You know what I'm saying? Woke culture. Woke comes from us. We say this nigga woke than a motherfucker. Cancel culture come from us. We be like, cancel that bitch. Cancel that nigga. We ain't fucking with. All that shit come from us. And it becomes mainstream. It becomes majorly mainstream. And I think that's why, listen, black people are extremely forgiving. We're extremely forgiving. That's why we always say that corny ass shit when we see a white person that could dance real good. Oh, you invite him to the cookout. I hate that shit, by the way. You invite him to the cookout. I'm like, nigga, don't say that to me. If a white person can dance real good, or if they can rap real good, or they do something blackish, they be like, oh, child, you can invite him to the cookout. I'm like, all right, invite him to the cookout. Before you know it, they be cooking all the food. You know what I'm saying? They be owning the cookout. Stupid. You know what I'm saying? We won't be having cookouts no more. We love sharing our culture. We do. That's why we keep forgiving. But then on the flip side, we get mad when we see white girls with fucking cornrows. And when Kim Kardashian had them cornrows in her hair and the motherfuckers was mad. I personally like the juxtaposition. I love seeing other cultures embrace black shit. Mm-hmm. But the black side of me is like, man, I can't even say that shit. So if I see a white girl with some cornrows and she actually look fly because she's pale as fuck, but she got black fucking thing in her head, I'm like, that looks dope because it's a contrast.
I think it's off-putting because when we do it, when black people do it, when the black culture does it, it's not looked at as anything, or it's looked at as like, oh, like, what the fuck is that? Or do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when a white person does it, then it becomes like, oh, look at this. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like even hairstyles or, bodies, body types, all of that stuff, Yeah. When white people do it, or when they, like put their name on it or whatever, then it becomes the most popular, thing, and accepted is more of the word that I'm looking for, Yeah. And I think that to me is the most off-putting part.
Yeah. I heard Stephanie Mills, the singer, talking about that. Like, I mean, you have these beautiful black soul singers with these strong church voices, like your Jennifer Hudson, like your Stephanie Mills, you know what I'm saying? They'd be killing it. But then Adele comes along and she has a beautiful voice, but she becomes a megastar because it's like, whoa, it's just so strange for us to see that voice coming out of that white body. So she's a megastar then. And then black people feel some type of way. How can they not? When we're sitting up here looking like, nigga, we've been doing this forever. When people start talking about when twerking got popular, oh my God. They've been saying twerking since the fucking 80s. Mm-hmm. Since the fucking 80s. Miley Cyrus started talking about twerking and twerk this, twerk that, and then it became this big thing. I'm like, yo, this ain't nothing new. So I completely understand the disdain that they have,
Mm-hmm. I just want to interject with a fact that always speaks a lot to me. Historically, the first form of mass entertainment in America for about 100 years was a minstrel show. Mm-hmm. That's the first form of mass entertainment, mass music, shared culture in America. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot. You're right. Mm-hmm. We're following suit still. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. It set a standard that we're still following till this day. Mm-hmm. So, the anger is understood. Like, maybe it wasn't my head. Maybe it wasn't my head when I looked at him. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he made eye contact and he looked up and he looked down. And so that's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? He looked up. What do you need to, they looking me up and down.
Were you wearing the same outfit?
No. I got, well, first of all, let's get something straight. let me put you in check since you said that. I have multiple outfits. The odds that you see me wear the same thing twice, slim and none. So just don't disrespect me like that. Mm-hmm. I take you saying that to me very offensively. Mm-hmm. I'm fly as they get. Everything I have on is very curated, if you'll notice. You have something to say to that? That I purposely had it cut. This little string, I wanted it like that. I wanted it to hang like that. It's the details. The devils are in the details. The devil's in the details, as they say. You feel me?
That's
You know what I'm saying?
looks like the devil.
You just slap on gallery department. You're a label whore. That shit just says gallery department. You know what I'm saying?
I wear one thing that says gallery
You
department.
wore gallery department last time too.
I did.
But that's your family, right?
That is.
That's you get a pass. That's your
I
family.
appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? My man, them tight ass shorts. That's not. You're not related to the tight shorts.
These are
Right?
tennis or golf. I don't remember.
You really on this black golf thing, huh?
I just golf, bro.
How long you been golfing for?
I think I started in the 8th grade.
Oh, you been golfing since that long?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Decent, yeah.
Man, I went. Listen,
Since the 8th grade.
I mean, yeah.
Off and on. I didn't play like all those years. But yeah,
you
that's when
better
I
be
started.
good if you've been playing since the 8th grade.
Yo, that shit is wildly frustrating to me. I went out there and I tried to golf at Griffith,
it's
not
tough.
Griffith, but wherever, somewhere in it.
And no, wait, is there a golf?
Frustrating.
Is there a golf place in Griffith Park?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah,
It
2
was
courses.
frustrating. The best thing about it for me was riding around on the cart. And I was like, I'll just drive the cart.
I want to be a caddy.
Because my boy was clowning
I want
me.
to be a caddy. Terrible.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
You're a hater, bro. But could you teach me to golf?
No.
Please don't.
That's some.
Absolutely
Why?
not.
Because there's people that will teach you golf. It's too frustrating for me to
Did you teach your son?
You want to be my son? Dog? That's my son. I'm a teacher.
You know he doesn't really want to learn how to
I know.
Nah,
He's just
I wanna
talking.
fuck golf.
Yeah,
I
he's
wanna
just
golf,
talking.
you
man.
know.
Fuck that shit. Why
Yeah,
would I
because
golf?
you know he'll probably fuck up in some way. He's like, man, I ain't built for this. I'm supposed to be playing ball right now in the park with all the boys over in Detroit.
Exactly
You know,
right.
it's one of
Yeah.
those. He's revert back to.
I will revert back to my niggerisms. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We all have our hobbies. What's your hobby? I mean, you know what my hobby is. What's your hobby? He golfs. I do what I do. What do you do?
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I do jujitsu.
I like to run. I like to work out.
Everybody
photography.
run, bro. Do some. We're doing something that's uncharacteristic of black people. I do jujitsu. There's not a lot of black jiu-jiteros.
That's facts.
There's not
That's
a lot of
facts.
black golfing motherfuckers.
That's facts.
There's a shit ton of niggas that run. Do something that niggas don't do.
All right. Is that a challenge?
Like badminton. Or Jason, give me something that niggas don't do, man. What don't we do?
Volleyball, a lot of things with nets.
A lot of
besides
things with nets.
basketball.
Play some volleyball.
The sort of horizontal net.
Yeah,
is
horizontal
an
net
untapped
shit. Do
black
some shit with
space.
some horizontal nets.
Okay, some tennis.
Tennis
maybe?
is fun, man.
Huh?
Tennis is fun.
tennis?
That's
Actually, I
much
take
easier
that
to learn
back.
than golf.
Venus and Serena.
I mean, yeah.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
I played
Didn't
pickleball
LeBron
before.
just like buy something like for
pickleball team?
pickleball? Yeah,
Yeah, I played
team.
pickleball. I love pickleball.
Do you?
That's some what?
Yeah.
I played it up north. That's some gangster shit. Or dodgeball. Do something, different, bro.
It's mainly if the net is high, like
Yeah.
volleyball or badminton.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say, I think.
Okay.
So what you gonna do?
I might try tennis.
Oh, you just said Venus and Serena.
Nah, but
That's not the majority, bro.
Let me just
Ease into
let me
something?
ease into something real quick.
All right, so we're gonna give you like a couple
Yeah.
months. We're gonna revisit this in a couple months.
Absolutely.
Bro, let's play tennis.
Done. You know how to play?
Yeah.
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 All
Shocker.
right, I'm down.
Shocker.
Let's go.
Shocker. You just knocking down the white man door. You begging to get in, huh?
Come on, man. Stop
Begging to
it.
get
What's
in.
wrong with tennis,
I
man?
play crate ball. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
stop it.
That's real ghetto shit. This has been another episode of Three Black Guys on the Couch. I'm O'Neal.
I'm Renee.
Gary.
Oh yes, we definitely like you for you to like
And subscribe.
and subscribe. Right? Why should they subscribe and like?
Because we get to see all of your new outfits.
If you like and subscribe,
And please take note of all of the outfits that he wears. And if he ever repeats an outfit, I need you to leave a comment.
lovely. Like and subscribe. And for all you young men out there that are confused about fashion and how to dress, I got you. Don't even trip. I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'll describe my ensemble. I'll tell you what I wear. I'll help you out. I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no better than you. I'm just fresh.
Mouth, man.
Wow.
What it is.
Peace.
Peace.